Top 5 biggest convict explosions of all time. Hey, all I know is, bro, I'm not there. So, hey, we good. We chilling. We out the boogie. So, hey, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure like, comment, subscribe. Hey, let's get right into the video, y'all boys. Hey, stop digging in your ass, bro. Lock in. Come on, let's go.
You just gave it 4 years. Well, guess what? So,
What the hell did he do? What did he just do?
I didn't do anything wrong, man.
This is Ricky Hand, who is facing charges for multiple armed robberies in Ohio. Ricky was charged with aggravated robbery, attempted safecracking, abduction, breaking and entering.
Give me 40 years, sir.
Ricky had been on a robbing spree for years, and he was most likely getting confident in his ability. However, his romance with robbing quickly turned sour the night he tried to rob John's drive-thru in Springfield, Ohio. In the footage here, we can find the owner of the shop beginning to close down for the night. However, Ricky Hand had other plans. As Ricky begins to make his way to the door, he's greeted by the owner, who is armed and begins firing to scare Ricky off.
Bro, was
The
there
owner
another
then
dude
called
right
the
there?
police to inform them that there had just been an attempted robbery at the shop, which resulted in a man getting shot.
Yeah, this is John's drive-thru, West Main Street. A guy just tried to rob me and I shot him. He ran out the back door.
Okay, is he injured?
I think I hit him.
Well, as it turns out, he did in fact hit him, because only 2 days later, a man admitted himself to the nearby hospital to treat bullet wounds. It didn't take long for police to piece together that this was most likely the robber they were looking for.
Exactly.
Arrests were made at the hospital, and Ricky was questioned that night.
Tried to rob John's drive-thru. Got shot 3 times. I did the crime. I ain't gonna lie. I just wanted to.
If you thought the crimes were horrendous enough, wait until you see how Ricky reacted after being sentenced. As the judge drops the bombshell and hands Ricky a 40-year sentence, the man's mind seems to short-circuit. As if to confirm what he heard, he asked the judge if that was his sentence.
Did you just give me 40 years, sir? Yes.
Nobody expected that Ricky had a surprise up his sleeve, or rather, in his arm sling.
Closely. Hand reaches into his arm sling and pulls out some cloth that was hiding a small bottle.
This genius had hidden pill bottles filled with his own feces and urine right under his arm the whole time. In the blink of an eye, Ricky whips out those bottles of nastiness and throws them at his defense lawyer. The lawyer got a taste of some foul-smelling justice, and the courtroom went into complete chaos. I guess.
What the fuck is wrong with people? Genuinely, why would you do that? Who even? The fact, bro, you had to have been smelling that shit. Oh my god, I just know that shit smells like. It's disgusting. Just let me continue.
Yes, Ricky wanted to make sure he left a lasting impression in that courtroom, and boy, did he succeed.
You just gave it 4 years. Well, guess what? So,
Unlike in comedy movies, Ricky's actions have real-life consequences. Ricky is now facing additional charges.
But honestly, he's saying 40 years. Maybe do 8 years and then maybe ask to get a honestly, good behavior, 8 years, and maybe I'll say parole, 8 to about 15 years, maybe parole. Robbing's not that serious of an offense unless somebody got shot, and cops ain't gonna treat it like that. If we gonna be honest, bro, I would have gave his ass the fucking death penalty. I mean, shit. You know, robbing people, putting shit at people's life. You know, that's putting somebody's life in jeopardy.
That's right. 5 counts of harassment with bodily substances, 1 count for his lawyer, and the other 4 for the poor deputies who got caught in the crossfire. However disgusting you thought Ricky's explosion was, this wasn't the only time a criminal had an obscene outburst in court. There's the case of Shondell Jackson. This is Shondell Jackson, who is facing charges for murder in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. In 2010, a 19-year-old named Shondell Jackson attempted to rob Nathan Potter, a 21-year-old student at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, who was returning to his apartment. Unfortunately for them, Potter wasn't carrying any cash, but instead of just walking away and chalking it up as a failed robbery, Jackson shot Potter, tragically ending his young life.
And that's where you fucked up. That's life. Don't be mad.
Now, you'd expect someone convicted of first-degree intentional homicide and robbery to feel some iota of remorse, right? Well, not Jackson. Throughout the trial, he showed zero remorse and even had the audacity to smirk at Potter's family. Smirking in the face of such a heart-wrenching tragedy, it's enough to make your blood
for
boil.
no reason.
Looking at us, swearing at us, and smiling.
Nathan's father gave a very emotional victim impact statement during the trial. He asked for the maximum sentence and called Jackson's crimes pure evil.
Nothing that can be said to bring back our Nathan. But your sentence can ensure that Shondell does not have the opportunity as a free man to inflict pain like this again.
Literally.
Things took a wild turn when the judge finally dropped the hammer and sentenced Jackson to life in prison with no chance of parole. Jackson's anger boiled over, and he unleashed a storm of curses at the judge and court officers.
Womp womp.
The scene quickly descended into chaos as court officers had to jump in, tackling Jackson and even resorting to pepper spraying him to bring him under control. But the madness didn't end there. Sitting in the back of the courtroom, Jackson's family couldn't resist chiming in. They decided to insult Potter's mother, spewing hatred as if she was responsible for Jackson's heinous crime and sentence. The behavior...
You hate them, but he killed their kid. You should say you hate your son. The fuck? I swear people get dumber and dumber by the day.
It was very puzzling both for the victim's family and onlookers.
There is some redemption for him at some point, but that's totally up to him. And for his family to say to us, "We hate you," what's that all about? We didn't do a thing to him.
Shondell Jackson didn't seem to think that his crimes required life imprisonment, which led to the outburst. However, he wasn't the only convict who thought they deserved lesser sentences. There was Manson Bryant, who is facing charges for multiple crimes, including robbery and abduction in Ohio.
The court determines that you have or will have the ability to pay restitution.
A familiar face in Judge Lucci's courtroom, Bryant, at 32 years old, has quite the rap sheet, dating back to his juvenile days. He's been in and out of prison multiple times, with at least 8 of his cases landing on Judge Lucci's desk.
Damn.
Talk about a regular customer. So, in his most recent case, Bryant was found guilty of some serious charges.
What was
The
it?
verdict was guilty in count 1, aggravated burglary, felony 1, guilty in count 2, aggravated burglary, felony 1, guilty in count 3, aggravated robbery, felony 1, guilty in count 4, felony 1, guilty in count 5, abduction, felony 3, and guilty in count 7, which I renumbered for the jury as count 6.
If you think his crimes were bad, brace yourself for his behavior in court. Bryant's day of reckoning arrived as he stood before Judge Lucci for his sentencing. Initially, Bryant appeared to accept his fate, admitting to a lifetime of bad decisions and expressing respect for the judge's decision.
I made a lifetime of bad decisions.
But brace yourselves, folks, because the respect didn't last long. When Judge Lucci handed down a 22-year sentence, Bryant's true colors poured out in a profanity-laced tirade that echoed through the courtroom. He unleashed a barrage of expletives, accusing the judge of racism and disrespecting his courtroom. But here's where things took an unexpected turn.
The ability to pay restitution.
Fuck your courtroom, you racist ass bitch! Fuck your courtroom, man! You racist as fuck!
Judge Lucci initially considered Bryant's remorse and attempted to be fair, but he changed his mind due to the outburst. Watch as Judge Lucci tries to get his words out between Manson's outburst.
Wait a minute. When I said that you had a certain amount of remorse, I was mistaken. So it's 28 years with credit for 231 days.
Judge
nigga just slapped the extra 6 honey buns on your plate. Yeah, bro. Why would you do that? My nigga, you were found guilty of abduction, burglary twice, robbery, abduction. You abducted somebody, nigga. And you're saying 22 is not justifiable, nigga? After all that bullshit?
Tacked on an additional 6 years to the sentence, making it 28 years behind bars, but Bryant's defiance continued. He hurled insults even as court deputies led him away.
I don't want to hear it, man. Get me out. Let me out.
About 3 minutes after the incident, Judge Lucci can be heard laughing about the moments that just transpired.
He seemed so calm and cool and civil until the sentence.
According to Judge Lucci, this wasn't the first time Bryant had shown such disrespect. Eventually, the additional 6 years was struck out by a superior court.
It wasn't on the record, but the last time, as he was walking out of the court, he said, "Suck my dick, Judge."
Bryant's outburst may have been uncalled for. However, some cases are so heartrending that outbursts might be overlooked, like the case of Dexter Johnson, who was facing charges for murder in Houston. This tragic story began when Johnson and 4 others carjacked Maria Aparici and Hoi Ngo, her boyfriend, in 2006. The gang held the couple at gunpoint while they took their belongings, then drove them around Houston. Johnson and his accomplice, Keithron Fields, subjected them to a nightmarish ordeal of torture and humiliation. Police reported that Maria Aparici and her boyfriend were shot in the head and left in the woods. It took 5 days before their bodies were discovered. Now in a Harris County courtroom, 19-year-old Dexter Johnson faced his punishment for the crimes he committed. Though Dexter admitted his role in the crime, he was persistent in his defense, claiming that he was not the shooter. Throughout the trial, Johnson remained stone-faced, his eyes fixed on the defense table. But a wave of emotions overwhelmed him when the decision was finally announced: the death penalty.
Damn. I can't lie. If he wasn't the nigga that did it, you still getting it, nigga. Fuck you talking about, nigga. I would have fucking, bro, if I would have been there with my homeboys doing all that shit, nigga, I would have snitched, nigga. I would have been on the phone with the authorities. I'd be like, yeah, you said we about to do what they, you said what? Say it again. Say it again, nigga. Like, bro, like, what are you doing? You admitted to your part, but yet you still went through with it. It's basically what the authorities said. Yeah, gang. Yo ass don't deserve to be free.
Tears streamed down his face as he looked towards his family, wanting to give them one last wave goodbye. He appeared confused and unsure of what to do next.
Capital murder. In accordance with the laws of the state of Texas, this court hereby assesses your punishment of death.
Jesus, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is going to complete your jury service. I'm going to meet you in the jury room.
And then it happened. In an instant, Johnson's rage consumed him, and he hurled a chair across the room. Chaos erupted as officers swiftly tackled him, and the courtroom descended into panic.
Bro, this lady
The scene was heart-wrenching.
Bro, this lady right here scary as shit, dude. Oh my god! No! No! What's happening? No! Maria! Maria, what's happening? No! I'm staying under. The fuck is this? You that scary? It's one nigga. Right? Like he just grabbed the whole sheriff's gun, started rampaging through niggas, shooting niggas. We gotta stop being soft. We gotta stop being soft. You got to.
Heart-wrenching as Johnson's relatives wailed and begged for mercy. 2 of his family members collapsed, requiring immediate medical attention. It was an overwhelming display of raw emotions.
But the mayhem spills out into the hallway.
Amidst the turmoil, the presiding judge, Denise Collins, reached out to console those affected by this dramatic episode. She offered kind words and support to the parents of Maria Aparici, the woman whom Johnson robbed, sexually assaulted, and killed. It was a moment of solace amid chaos.
You sexually
Emotion
assaulted
was a
her
constant
too?
presence in this case. Johnson's
Yeah, bro,
mother,
you gotta die.
Renee Johnson, passionately defended her son, declaring his innocence and putting her faith in divine intervention. Protasio Aparici Jr., the grieving father of Maria Aparici, expressed his pain and spoke of the violence inflicted upon his daughter. In a way, it could be said that Johnson got what he deserved, and his outburst was understandable. However, there are other convicts whose punishment seemed lenient and their outbursts confusing. Such is the case of Eric Penland, who is facing child endangerment charges in Ohio. Penland was convicted of violently shaking the child, causing permanent disabilities.
Bro.
Eric Penland was charged with...
Bro. Come on, bro. That shit's so fucked up, bro.
shaking his then infant son so violently 2 years ago, the boy is now blind and permanently disabled. I was there as the verdict was read in a courtroom full of emotion.
The abuse occurred.
That shit just breaks my heart, bro. That shit just, like, damn, how could you just be genuinely this mad at somebody or something, bro? Like, nigga, you shaking it to the point where it goes blind in one eye and is disabled. Do you think about this? Yeah, bro, think about this. What if that happened to you, and this whole time while you're getting shook, you feel this happening to you? You're feeling this. The baby doesn't have a conscience, so it's feeling it, but it's like it's not really knowing what's happening. We know what's happening. Imagine that shit just start going blind in one eye, and then fucking just go disabled out of nowhere. That shit just so crazy.
When the child was just 3 months old. Sharon Lawson and her husband, who have been dedicated foster parents to disabled and abused children, began caring for Penland's baby boy in 2017. The now 2-year-old victim was formally adopted by the Lawsons a few weeks before the sentencing and has since relocated out of the area, providing him with a safe and loving environment. The prosecution explained that for the rest of the boy's life,
Eric will rely on others to bathe him, dress him, change his diapers, feed him.
The lifelong consequences of Penland's actions are devastating and irreversible. Sharon Lawson also expressed the unimaginable agony they endured while caring for the baby. The child's relentless screaming, which lasted for hours on end, left them completely unprepared for the severity of the abuse.
Nothing prepared us for the screaming. Hours and hours of screaming.
It was a very disturbing case indeed. Nevertheless, Penland insisted that he was innocent.
I've been falsely accused. I've been wrongfully convicted.
If you think that Penland would be remorseful or that his actions were horrible, you'll be shocked by his behavior in court. Throughout the entire legal process, Penland showed no remorse. Prosecutors also highlighted Penland's prior criminal record, including robbery convictions and a federal firearms charge. Due to his previous offenses, mandatory prison time was inevitable in this case, and the prosecution requested the maximum sentence.
I would submit to the court that this entire record is absolutely devoid of any remorse by the defendant.
And the maximum sentence he got. Penland was sentenced to 11 years in prison. Prosecutors emphasized that Penland wasn't facing more severe charges because the baby had miraculously survived his injuries. After Penland heard that he would spend the next decade in prison, he displayed his frustration and disbelief by bowing his head, shaking it, and finally unleashing an outburst of profanity, proclaiming his innocence.
Man. I didn't do anything wrong, man.
If you thought these explosions in court were shocking, you need to see this video of...
That's crazy, bro. He honestly should have got way more than 11. You gotta think about that. I'm not saying the child is dead. I'm not saying it whatever, but at the same time, bro, genuinely, and let's be honest, everybody, what could you do with one eye and permanent disability? You can't do nothing for yourself. Yeah, bro, you got someone that probably loves you, bro, but at the same time, you can't love yourself. You can't. And it's gonna be, and we're being honest, bro. We're being honest. I'm not being no asshole or nothing. You can't really do nothing, bro. And it's like, bro, man, I feel for them, bro. I'm that shit, bro. Hey, y'all boys, have a good rest of y'all day, man. Be safe. Don't shake kids. Don't do anything wrong to kids, bro. Kids. Let kids be kids. I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all day, man. Deuces.